Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining NCBA today as we host this webinar on preparedness for all ages, a lasting legacy. Our presenter, Marco Johnson, with the Red Cross, the American Red Cross, National Capital, and Greater Chesapeake region, is back with us today. Marco has served with the American Red Cross for over 10 years as lead for the Reunification Safe and Well program, demonstrator for the hands-only CPR, and trainer in assisted living and long-term care facilities. Also, he supports the disaster services technology, the community preparedness education, the Be Red Cross Ready activities, and the Pillowcase Project. Marco, it's such a pleasure. Welcome again. Thank you.
Howdy, howdy. Welcome to all, and thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be back with us and working on this valuable preparedness month. And we also look for being prepared to take care of yourself and to take care of others, right? To save a life and reduce trauma. So this is for all ages. You start with yourself, and let's see if we can have some fun today about learning how you can have a legacy, whatever age, and for all the ages, something that you learn yourself and something that you can pass around. The American Red Cross can help you start building that legacy for all ages through life-saving skills and working with the blood programs. We could learn about what kind of blood you have, depending on how old you are. But whatever age you are, you could learn about the blood program and share it and tell others. The American Red Cross serves the military in different ways. And like we have, Red Cross can go places others cannot go, right? That Red Cross can find out reunification, how to connect. If you've got someone that you know it's on the other side of the world and there's problems there. So this Red Cross serves the military in many ways. You could learn about that and build the legacy on serving the military and serving others around the world. The international aid that Ukraine is one example. There's many examples around the world how the Red Cross helps. So here's a way, different ways to learn about how you can build a legacy through your organizations that you are aware of and familiar with. You could say, hey, what can we do to help? And you can plan for and deliver disaster relief and recovery services. One of the most important things that the Red Cross teaches is that when you do preparedness and when you do your training, you actually are in a better position that if there is an emergency or a disaster, you begin to recover then. You're ready, you're thinking, and you have it that, oh, I'm ready. You take a breath. So by the planning before, during, and after, what is going to happen? Where am I? Where's this disaster cycle, this emergency? You can begin to recover as soon as the disaster happens, right? You start to say, hey, here's what I have to do while I'm in the middle of the disaster. Very important. The Red Cross is training you. You're important. It's you. And then you can know what to do before, during, and after. This year, I've been very interested in learning about blood. For myself and for others around me, I'm learning that it's important to give blood, and it's important to think in terms of what can this blood be saving lives and how it is. So we really need blood. The last couple of years, we've been on a program to say, hey, the hospitals need blood. And especially we found out that if there's something called in the blood, the sickle cell trait that is inherited. And it's good for you to learn, do you have this trait? Do you have a sickle cell trait? Because there is a population that needs that kind of blood. So let's learn about that. There's more information. There's a link there, and there's a flyer that can be sent to you if you put in the chat that you're interested in learning about your blood and what kind of blood do you have, what does that mean, and if you can share your blood and give your blood to others. Very important. Learn about some blood and build a legacy. You might save a life on just the kind of blood you have. The Red Cross, big disasters and small disasters, kitchen fires, flooded basements, different kinds of things. But guess what? The Red Cross is there across the United States helping with all different kind of disasters. And you could learn how to help if that comes to where you are, what kind of disasters you have. Now, today I really like to show you how you could build a legacy by being prepared and having some emergency contact cards. And that may be a 3x5 card, or it may be a fold out. They have them for downloading. But many times it's making sure all ages, everybody has ID cards with them that they can carry. And then it's easy to duplicate that card or information on a small piece of paper, put it in a little Ziploc or some folder that you could carry and have it in more than one place. So emergency cards are very important so people can contact you and they can contact who needs to know about you. Important though for building a legacy of all ages is these emergency apps. So you can pick up your phone and find out, hey, let me see who is in this contact list in this emergency app. So if you have a phone, a cell phone, and now you've learned this, if you don't, you could tell other people about it. It can be that, hey, I can look and find out this person has outside contacts that they have out of the town, out of the country, nearby. So let's look down. Here's a chance for you to look at your phone and download the emergency app, emergency exclamation point, and learn about inside there in the toolkit where you could put contacts that will be notified that you are safe and well, and you could automatically send it to them. In the emergency app, it tells you all about weather. It gives you alerts of what the weather is happening in the locations you pick. In the emergency app, you can also have like a checklist before, during, and after. What do I do? So it's like a little lesson in that app. So very, very, very helpful to give you information to be informed before, during, and after a disaster. You want that full cycle of information. Right? The first aid kit app is put that down in your phone, and it's like having what the school nurse has. You don't need the internet then. It's very, very helpful looking and about different first aid kits that's inside there. What to do for this condition, that, what kind of scratch, or is this good or bad? How to put compression on it, okay? And the blood donor, there's an app for that. And you could learn about your blood and learn where to set up to be you're scheduling your time for blood. And there's even a preparedness game. So we have all ages in some of these applications that are on your phone. The phone is a helpful tool with these things for information. And some of them then are useful even though you don't have the internet. Others, when you have access to the internet, they're very helpful and give you information. So important thing to help start working with the different ages and showing people and telling people, if you've got a smartphone, you should be able to have these apps and really be ready. So starting to be prepared is getting these tools, and we're telling you that up front today. Be Red Cross Ready can just be simple as having ways to be informed and having plans, right? We're going to learn what the different kind of plans, and then making or getting a kit. Sometimes you can buy a little kit, you can buy a big kit, but you can make one personally for you. So being informed, making plans, and getting kits, that is one way to get ready to build this legacy. By being prepared, we work on three things for yourself. You learn about yourself. You find out how to prepare for emergencies, how to stay safe, right? And what to do. We're learning about emergencies, disasters, before, during, and after they happen. It's very important to keep these things in perspective, and you can learn how to take a breath and say, oh, I've got some time. My alert app said the bad weather's coming, but it's only a watch, and I have some days I can prepare. Practice. Today we're going to hear some things, and you could practice them, right? You load your apps now. If you're loading down those apps, we can practice using them later on today. So we learn, we practice what we've learned about emergencies and preparedness, and we share with others. I'm starting with learning all about you. What do you need? What are your capabilities? And what do you know about what disasters may come? What emergencies may happen? So start with you, take care of yourself, and then practice. So learn, and you learn what you should be practicing, right? And then you can share it with others. Very important to learn, practice, and share. Because you do need to be ready. All ages need to be ready. And we're going to work and talk about, hey, when emergencies happen, I might not have a lot of time. But here's a caregiver helping this patient, right? Saying, okay, now we said it's going to be a big flood coming, so we have to evacuate. So this person had a caregiver come help them. So being prepared, yourself, you're the most important person to me. So I need you to say, oh, I need certain medications. I want to carry this in my pocket. I want to have a little bag that I have with me. So you study and be aware, what do you need for yourself? Then you could do others you live with, right? Then neighbors, and you even can be helping responders because you're already there. You're the first one. You're the one that before the help arrives, you are the help. So learn about that. You are the help to help arrives, and then you could be helping others. I need you to focus on that and build that legacy. We are learning that the first 72 hours has a lot to do with your thinking and your plans and what you need, because the local government and people around you may not be able to respond yet. Here you see the picture of on the one side where the Red Cross is starting to open up a shelter in time for these people. But on the other bigger picture, there's all those cots and things, and it takes time. Also, Red Cross comes and partners with local agencies and organizations on where they can have and where are the shelters needed. So you may have to be the help until help arrives and take care of yourself. And we're finding out it could be 72 hours. All the responders and the Red Cross try to work as fast as they can, but it depends on the weather, what's happening, which way the wind's blowing, right? Oh, isn't this cute? You like pet? Who has any pets? You can put in the chat if you have a pet or if you think pets are cute. This is very interesting. I'm learning about this summer. It was a pretty hot summer. When you have several days in a row, it's, if you have pets, then I think it's very important. I'm gone beyond this summer. I'm learning and teaching myself, let me learn about pets, because in Red Cross shelters, we do allow pets and we accommodate the pets in the shelter, as you've seen in some of our pictures. So, but I learned this summer, never leave a pet in a car. So if you have pets and they're fun and you think they're cute and you take care of them, you give them water, but sometimes even if you leave the window down a little bit of a car, it's not fun for the pets. So I found out in my research this summer, I've learned about hot cars. Now, of all the years that I've been working and being deployed to disasters and helping people and in shelters, I finally just amplified this summer about how hot it gets in cars because I happened to see pets in cars. And it looked real hot and they didn't know what to do. And look at 114 degrees in 10 minutes, 129 degrees in 30 minutes, and you're just going to go into the grocery or do something. And those little animals, their internal organs, even if they can keep breathing, it's their internal organs. So I'm really calling out, if we want to build a legacy, we say all ages, but we're also talking about our pets too. We include pets now in our planning and our preparations. So I'm really, really happy to share that. Hey, let's find out all about hot cars and what to do in the weather. And of course, when we have extreme heat, we have extreme cold. So thinking about, I learned about pets and hot cars and found out how fast it can be dangerous. I also found out that children, and it's 2022 and it's not over yet, so this chart's about a month old, but I found out in the place where I live in my region, my area, 4 children died in 2022. 4 children for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. So this has given me a little bit of trauma that you think, well, it's not happening around here. Oh, it must be out west in the desert. No, you can look up at this place and you want to build a legacy, then we're going to take care of the people. We're going to learn about emergencies and disasters and find out what that really means and how. And this website has things you can do and tips to help you. So remember that leaving the children, the 4-year-old or 5-year-old or 7-year-old or 10-year-old, and the granny and older people in cars to sit there while you go run, do something. It gets real hot in the hot cars, and the internal organs and the dizziness and things. It's very touching. And I really want you to know and learn about these different things that can be right there. Many times you say, it doesn't happen to me, it can't happen to me, but now I'm finding out I have to learn about pets more of. And then what did they tell me about pets too? It's also about their paws, right? Right? Yes, and in the shelters, the different, if they're comfort dogs, but mostly if we can let some pets, dogs in shelters. But when I was in the Northern California fires, we had a Red Cross shelter open 4 months because in the Northern California, they had 243,000 acres all burned up. Put your mind around that. And we even had a separate shelter for the pets. Sometimes we can let them in with the people under special conditions and accommodations of comfort dogs. Other times we had a whole pet shelter. So you also, okay, let's see what's going on. Okay, I'm checking something here. The screen jumped. Let me see. Did that fix something? Okay. Thank you for that information. It looks like the mouse jumped around. So we were talking about our pets, right? And they're cute And then we're learning to take research and for yourself, especially if you have pets, and to realize that when you take them for a walk, look at if it's hot around. If you're barefoot, I went out barefoot just to test this out, and it burned the bottom of my feet from the sidewalk to the blacktop of the road. And I said, well, this must not be too good for the pets. So learning about hot cars and how fast it gets in the cars. And then here's your resource. Find out where you are. And this is about the children that left in cars. I think 2 weeks ago, some children were left, a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they both died. So let's build this legacy by being aware. And I'm learning how to cope with this information, and I feel it. I feel a little like gosh, that really happens. And I drove past the place where it said, so when you realize that it's just here, it's not someplace else. I want you to learn about helping others cope when you've taken care of yourself, right? And this is what we'll do, helping them before, during, and after the disasters. By learning about these things, as we prepare and get informed, we are also finding out then that, oh my goodness, this really is happening all around where I live. And I think that I need to prepare for it. I need to take care of things. I think that's very important to realize that we can be a comfort as we get a grip and think about ourselves and how we feel and what that means to you. So I'd like then to know, and anybody put in the chat and think about, what are your thoughts as you start to learn about emergencies and disasters? Have any of these things happened to you, right? I'm thinking that if I learn to take care of myself and take a breath, and I learn the signs of stress for myself, I look very quickly now when there's a dog or a child or an old person left in a car and they're waiting for someone to quickly come out. So learning about things like that and taking steps to manage me. So I learn more and more then of the tips that I can share and tell people you can mitigate that before, during, and after. So learn about these, how you feel and so forth, and take care of yourself. Then we can be taking care of others. All right, in the chat, what types of feelings might someone who is stressed experience? Now, if you see this picture and you're talking to the owner, they've Red Cross and the owners were allowed to come back in. The disaster, the flood and the winds cleared away. Put in the chat, do you know anybody who's lost anything from a disaster emergency? Do you? What are your thoughts on stress and what this may mean? You know, I'm a little stressed as I learn more about what can happen in the heat for pets and children and older people. So let's put in the chat, and if you've lost anything in a home fire, yes, I see everything in a home fire. That's kind of stressful. I can relate and share with you, right? So there's feelings, right? There's feelings about what are these stress reactions, all ages. Remember, we're talking about all ages today, all ages, and adults and children and teens, right? And special needs, functional needs, access needs. How do you feel if you have a kitchen fire and it's burned up your whole house, or there's a flood, or the roof is torn off? You know, so on the chart here in the chat, you can put down if you have any of those kind of feelings. This is what learn about what can happen, what you can feel like in yourself, and then remember we could help others. What kind of thoughts do you have? Right? In the chat, you can put down, look at these. Something's happened to you, or it didn't happen to you, it happened to your neighbor. Right? Down the street, my neighbor his whole house burned down, and he said the way Adolf explains it, his whole house melted. It got so hot and toxic smoke was in there. It wasn't a lot of flame, but there was a faulty, cheap phone recharging wire cable that he bought, and that apparently melted as it was hooked into the plug into the wall, and he lost everything. Everything melted. So what do you feel? What are your thoughts? Uh, you know, so these are things to see. These are indicators that you're passing on. This is how, for all ages, what you can say, oh, I sort of feel okay about that. It was my neighbor, but how did my neighbor feel about it? And now that I know that it happened down the street, that's kind of close to me, even if it didn't happen to me yet. So think about what about yourself, how you react, and then can you help and comfort some others? The physical effects. Oh, okay. Did any of you have any of these? You just heard about something, you know? Did it make you kind of nervous? Oh, the Weather Channel said, and all the alerts kept coming. I got alert, alert, alert. A big storm's coming, a big storm's coming. And guess what? You know, what did that make me feel? Right? I get all these kind of thoughts. What's happening? So what are the kinds of things that may be physical effects that, all right? Think about this. I need you to identify this for yourself and to help others. And this is how we're all ages building this legacy. What if now I lost my whole roof and the house caved in and my cars got all melted? And I followed all the rituals all my life. And now this has happened to me, right? That's the one people, they can't get out. They're still in the during. They still think they're in the middle. Remember I said our whole point of building the legacy is before learning all we can, and then during, we are recovering already soon as it happens. I want that soon as the disaster emergency happened, I want you to take a breath and start recovering. So there's the one side is, look, I did all these rituals, I did all these things, and I lost everything. On the right side here, I'm alive. I'm alive. Thanks. I'm alive. So learn these things, how you would react, and then you could be able to help others when you see others. Before, during, and after, right? It's okay to have these kind of feelings and thoughts and emotions and physical fatigue or weakness or stuff, but we're going to feel okay. We're informed, we're practiced, we're going to be cool, calm, and collected and cope. We're going to cope and we're going to be calm. We're going to take a breath. Take a breath. It wasn't until I started being deployed on major disasters and people sitting on a Red Cross cot that I'm a supervisor in the dormitory and they have nothing. But this is not one. I have a whole room full of these people sitting on these cots, right? And so I have learned that maybe I need to learn how to breathe. So take a breath. Everybody with me now, take a breath, breathe in. Supposed to count it to 4. Breathe out, breathe in. And I do that a couple times and then I said, am I done? And then it says repeat. So I've learned that in emergency or before I take a test in school, right? Or before I go into a big meeting with my boss, I'd say, take a breath, breathe in. And guess what? If you learn how to do that for emergencies or certain situations, or when a car cuts in front of me in traffic, it's me. I take a breath. They cut in front of me, but I stop the brakes. Everything's fine. Take a breath. So learn how to breathe, how to be calm, and we're helping us cope. We can help others. So I learned to breathe today. I learned one thing today. I learned that, there's breathing for emergencies and for special things. There's factors that they found out about the stress, what contributes, and we're going to mitigate. We're going to reduce these things. Today, we're building the legacy. We're saving a life, maybe our own or the one next to us, and we're mitigating the trauma. Marco's got trauma because what he learned about pets and children and old people in cars. Got to help Marco now. Got to mitigate his trauma. And how can we do that? So we learn about different characteristics, about disasters, about responding, and about individual things, and then even a responder who shows up. When I, 4 months of Red Cross shelters in Northern California wildfires 2018, and even the responders were reacting differently sometimes. So those are real pictures, real big emergencies, disasters, but it depends on what type, how the characteristics. So you could learn, you can be prepared, you can get informed on when it occurs and how, who, what. Okay, so here's these things that we learn about it. If you're prepared, like we're doing today, and you learn about these different things, guess what? It's your level of preparedness has gone up. You can have that legacy. You can pass things down. You could tell others, okay, let's recover. Here's what kind of disaster it is. Here's the characteristics of the flood. Look at the people in Kentucky. Look at Tennessee. Look at where there's tornadoes or heavy winds, or where it's dry and desert and fires, right? So we're learning about the living conditions of how it was. And did you have to evacuate? Did you stay? Did you go and live in a Red Cross shelter or some other shelter? All right. Where's your food and water? Were you ready? So it depends on how your ability to respond. If I got to shelter in place and stay where I am, and I had plenty of food for me and anybody in the house, then I have a level of response. Individually, right? I've seen disasters. I've responded to disasters. I've gone into into homes and taught them how to escape from their home. So if you're looking at this and that's your house in this picture, that's where you live. Used to be the apartments behind you, but there was a gas explosion. We've had gas explosions in my region here, and that's gone. What do? There's nothing to go back to. So I think it will be very important for us to get a feeling, find out what happens in our region, what kind of disasters or weathers are man-made. If you're around a major city, if you're a place where there may be terrorists, let's learn about these things, because the more we're informed, we can take a breath. And we can say, now I can recover. I can help others. I'm going to be okay. Right? Personally, how you are personally, if you know yourself and what you feel about these things we've been talking about, the feelings, the thoughts, right? The physical weakness, right? Let's listen and try to build those backgrounds up, right? But if you've had some stress beforehand and then it comes to a disaster, you've got to identify these real quick for yourself, right? We're learning about building the legacy for all ages, and we're talking about starting with you. You're the most important person to me. And when I say, who's the most important person? You say, I am. Okay, who's the most important person? I am, right? Learn about yourself, and then we're protecting, and then we're mitigating the damage that can happen. And then we're going to our families, our households, the people around us, and we're managing and mitigating what could happen. Some people say they like to study risk avoidance. They like to avoid it completely. And that's fine. If you evacuate, you avoid the flood. But if you're shelter in place, because they said there's no roads out of town, you have to stay where you are. So sometimes the hurricane hits your house, it's kind of hard to avoid the risk, right? So I'm very interested in having you understand about taking action, not being a bystander. Let's go in, whatever you are, whatever your capabilities or your functional capabilities, you still can learn things and tell others. We are learning about situation assessment. You're keeping alert. Do you have time? Can you go? What decisions do I have to make? Go, stay, right? Before, during, and after. So preparing helps you stay safe, adapt to challenges, recover quickly. Yes, yes, yes. Some people think in terms of, let me see, I have to be informed. I have to make plans. I make plans of how I'm going to be informed, right? I plan what kind of decisions. Do I have to go? Do I stay? Well, let's plan for these. And I plan for what I have to practice. Let's practice these things. Talk about them. Think about them. Read about them. Research about them. And practice them. Practice your list. What's in my first aid kit? Marco likes big, big waterproof Band-Aids, not the teeny little ones. I like big Band. So my first aid kit. So learn what you're practicing in, what kind of kit you're going to build. Where are these kits going to be? That's the planning. I have a kit in my car. If I don't have a car, I have a kit in every room. I have a kit here. I have this. Where's your first aid kit? Where's your go kit? Right? All the ways to communicate. There's got to be ways to, how do you communicate now? Do you text? Are you a two-thumb person? Right? Do you text? Do you call? Right? Do you do emails? Do you write letters? What do you do? Do you go outside and talk over the fence, the back fence? Well, how do you communicate? Let's think about that now, before, and then how would you communicate later on, right? Shelter in place plans, escape plans. If I can't get out of my house because the tree or the roof is blocking all the doors, what am I going to do? And if the law enforcement, local government says you have to evacuate everybody out of here, all right, then all the different kind of kits. A personal kit, I love cargo pants because I have my personal kit in all my pockets, right? If you have a vest with pockets, if you have a waist pack, so personal everyday carry, the things I carry with me, one's if I'm in a shelter, if the automobile, if I need to evacuate. There's our friend, and our friend is saying, let me look at this insurance checklist. Let me look at my home inventory. Let me think about what I need. Do I have enough medications? If they tell me a storm may be coming to my area, can I get some medications that I need up to extra days, right? So let's think about things and say, hey, this is what I need, and let's do the planning. Do I have my insurance ready? You know, where's copies of all my legal documents and my identity and my accounts, right? Think about how to communicate. Remember, we were talking about that. Where you spend your time, where you're going to go. Who makes the decision if I get to stay where I am? Do I have enough food and water and everything else? Is the power out? What am I going to do, right? Where are the different locations that you go to? Then you need to idea and think about what kind of plans you have there. Can I escape? All right, I go to the grocery store, or sometimes I'm in big stores, and I go in and I say, how do I get out of here if 500 people or 20 people are trying to get out the front door, and that's where the danger is? I want another door to get out. So now when I go shopping, or especially to a sports event, I find out how many ways are there to get out, and what am I going to do to communicate, right? Out-of-state contact, local contacts. Let's think about these things. Let's put them on our identity cards or our communication cards. Let's learn about where we'd meet in the neighborhood if we have to get out and evacuate. So thinking about the identification, everybody should have these cards. Download them or put them on 3x5. Who do you call? If I'm unconscious, these are on my person, and then the rescue or people know who to call. We're building that support network. We're building that support network. We're talking with people in case there is an emergency. If it happens close to us, if it happens to us, right? Let's look and talk to everybody. Who are the caregivers, what they need to know. Have pictures of yourselves, right? Pictures of your pet, pictures of your children, pictures of Granny, right? Let's get these plans organized. Let's build this network, even if it's one person nearby, right? Being informed. There's my favorite crank radio, and there's the apps on the phone, and there's the computer doing the research. Here comes the weather. These roads are closed, right? Learning about what to do if. Look at all those hazards. Look at those emergencies. And can I go that way? I had a plan. That's the way I'm going. I'm going where that arrow's going. But guess what? Then my alerts and my apps tell me, hey, that road's closed, that road's closed. 495, 395, 695, 295, right? 66, whatever road you have, they're already packed bumper to bumper. They're trying to get out of town. Right. So if you didn't have a plan and you didn't listen to your alerts, so you're driving down a road, have you ever driven? What are your thoughts if, uh-oh, I guess I should have checked the weather. I'm driving down here and here's where I am, right? All across the United States, there's different kind of weather. Learn about it, tell others about it, and find out what to do. What kind of kit do you need for that kind of weather? What decisions or behavior for that kind of weather? Real life case, January 2022, 55,000 people without power in a small place called Fairfax County, Virginia, right over near Washington, D.C. Right? So can you believe this? Look at this chart. Look at this picture. That's the real picture. It's Interstate 95, closed for upwards of 24 hours. How long is that? This is freezing, and the storm is still there. And they said 40 to 50 miles. It was the same way, like this. And if you didn't have your map in your car, you don't know anything about what's to the left or to the right of you. So I'm saying, get paper map. What were you in there? And yesterday, when I was at a place giving this presentation, there was a guy said, I was in that, and I was cold. And people were running out of their gasoline. Their phones weren't charged, right? Here's another thing. That's the cold. Here's the heat. I want you to learn to have a legacy here, all ages, current heat index. This summer, I had to learn about heat index the hard way. I learned about pets and children and older people being left in cars. I really want you to think and learn about these weather maps. They're free. Take pictures of them, snap them, escape routes, different routes of where you can drive. But this thing, learn it, pay attention, find out where this is in the weather app and say heat index. Or if they don't have a map, they tell you where you live. Here's the heat index, because that's exactly what hurts people. And then learning more about the maps, here's different weather. Oh, I was going to travel here. I was going to go there, right? And learn by the whole week. Pay attention to the weather now, please. I used to think, oh, whatever weather comes or goes on, I'll do what I'm doing. But no, I need you really to look and plan ahead, use the alerts and say, what does this mean to where I drive, where the buses go? If I use buses, how am I going to get to safety if I'm relying on a bus? Listening to local things. Keeping informed. Look at, the roads are closed. Here's where there's a flood. What streets do you go down? Oh, I go down every day for 25 years. I finally noticed that sign that says this is where the flood water comes. Ah, I use this every day. I can't go here now. I need to have my map and go someplace else. Here's the conditions. Learn about being informed. Here's the map. How do I get out of Washington, D.C.? Or which way do I go? Oh, the river's flooding. Do I drive to the river? No, that's not my escape. No. All right. So, and then if you can't find a paper map at the store or at the tourist center, get it and print it out and put it in the car. Put it more than one place. If I can't get out to these major roads, where am I going? How can I get out? So be Red Cross ready, right? And there's apps and there's websites and there's ready.gov. There's probably Ready Virginia, Ready DC, Ready Maryland, Ready California, Ready Ohio. So look into the apps, look into the links where you can get alerts for where you live or where you go, where you drive, right? And get those emergency apps. Remember, there's usually a radio station and there's weather channels, right? Learning how to plan by being informed with all these alerts and things that we're saying, oh, now look in that picture. Is that a pet? Is that a pet? Right. And look at this family. If they're told by the local law enforcement that they have to evacuate, what are their considerations? If they're told they have to stay in place and they can't get out, the dog is not allowed outside because of the weather or whatever to go walk around. So what decision, what triggers you? And do you have enough supplies and knowledge if you have to go, if you have to stay? Remember the pets? The pets here, this lady was ready. She had prepared her pets. She had the carrying cases and she had the food, the Red Cross, or nobody else had to think about, oh, how to get those pets. The person already knew about they had pets and they wanted to see and these pets were allowed. Good. Also, when you're learning about pets, if you have to evacuate and you don't have a Red Cross shelter nearby, here's your plan. Here's one thing you do for pets. You learn in your plan and on your maps what hotels and motels allow pets in emergencies. You may have hotels that do not allow pets, but then there are ones who in emergencies will allow pets. So there's things to be informed of and to have a plan. If you go, if you stay, for you, your pets, and for all the special needs and all the older people. So the care providers and caregivers right along, we're saying have copies of pictures of you and your pet, you and your children, you and the granny, everybody. Let's, these may be the only things you have left. So what you can carry, and they're telling me it's about pictures. It's about learning about your community. Your community may already have an escape evacuation plan. If it's already printed up and they tell you what roads are going to be taken care of by the police, you want to know, oh, the police are going to help us get out of town for the flood. Good, which way do I go? Exactly. So learning about these things, who can help you, who already has the plans, are very important. In the chat, if look at this picture, is there anything here that you have you can put in the chat? Here is making a kit, buying a kit, right? Look in there. What are your thoughts about what do you need? You're thinking about these different weather. You're thinking about these different conditions. What do you need? Put in the chat. Do you have any of these things, right? Here's the pillowcase project with the characters there. And then here's a little waste pack, a bigger pack. And here is a container that you have in your house with the things for emergencies, certain kind of food that lasts a long time and stays fresh, and then something that goes in your car. Important things, legal documents, papers, separate copies that can go with you, right? Then what are things that you can do? There's my crank radio, my favorite thing, and a whistle that sometimes you could whistle if you're stuck because of the hurricane and you can't get out of your house. Look in, their whistles can help alert people. What's important to you, what's gives you comfort, take something like that too. I have a little squeezy thing for my hands, right? So this is my comfort toy, right? But it really, when I'm stressed, I can squeeze it. But then this guy's in my go bag. Oh, hi, thank you. All right, so identify legal items, some money in case all the power's out. There's a pillowcase, there's the toys, there's the crank radio, there's a first aid, cards, something to write on, pencil, paper, IDs, right? Pedro does the sound the alarm. There's a whole program to build your legacy. All ages should know about the fire alarm. And here's where we have in-home visits, and we'll work with the family to do the escape plan. And what do you need? And do home fire safety. Red Cross visits communities and in homes. And this family was very happy to have an in-home visit and learn about a fire escape plan. This family was practicing their fire escape plan. And all the generations, all ages, together building that legacy. We're learning about the children. We saw a big pet before. We saw the different kind of access needs. So learning about where to go, what to do, and the children are learning, just like in school, like a fire drill, right? What do you do? Where do you put these? On every floor, in every place where you sleep, and practice and test them. You need to get out in 2 minutes. Home fires, know what to do, plan ahead, take a breath. Oh, the smoke alarm went off. You know what to do, get outside, be safe, and then call 911, right? Here is Mia and Pedro practicing get low and go from the smoke, and they're learning how to get out of the house, meet at the tree. How long do you have? 2 minutes, all right? And then you get out when you're safe and call 911. And I need you out there. I need you by the tree, the mailbox. I need you outside so you could tell the fire and rescue, oh, the fire's in the kitchen and the garage is all burning up too, and it's gone into the dining room. I need you outside to tell them, so get out quickly. And they practiced it, right? And here's everybody in the family practiced getting out safely. And look what these people did. This whole family did it twice a year. And we're very happy that we're working with all generations, all ages, for the legacy of being prepared and practicing, learning, practicing, and sharing. So I'm very, very excited that you have this checklist. You learn about yourself, how to breathe and plan, and what do you need, how should you act. It's okay if you get these thoughts or these feelings, or you feel physically weak, or you start challenging some of your traditions. We're looking for you to take a breath, and when that emergency hits, that disaster, you take a breath and then you start recovering. So you're being informed, you're learning about what decisions to make before, during, and after, and how to stay safe after. You know, if the hurricanes ripped your house apart, it's not safe to go in again. So you learn to recover in a different way. But you already know that because you planned, you had an idea. You had an idea for this, right? And taking the training. You can take hands-only CPR, you can take first aid training, life-saving, babysitting. Go take any kind of training that'll help you feel ready and prepared, right? And I'm looking for people who are telling me what they already have. And do you have a crank radio? And do you have, my crank radio charges my phone. My crank radio is a flashlight, it's the weather. So I'm looking for these different kind of things and what to do and so forth. Now remember, all this slides and what we're talking about today is in a participant booklet that's available to you. And other things are available and information is kept up to date if you then go to redcross.org. So I'm really thinking about being safe and thinking about yourself and how to cope and manage things, but plan and be informed and find out what you need with yourself. And any other thoughts or ideas that you want to put in the chat, we're accepting them and we'll be able to talk to you about some of these things. But let's share it. Let's take care of yourself. But then as you're learning, if you say, well, I can't do this, but I can't do that, or it's hard for me to give blood, but you could tell somebody else about the blood program. You can tell somebody else how to build a first aid kit, right? So anybody can put in the chat or who has some thoughts or ideas, we can answer some questions.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you for your awesome presentation and for joining NCBA again. Looks like we have about 6 minutes for questions. So I'd like to open it up to our audience to please include your questions in the chat, and I'll be happy to read them aloud, and Marco will answer them. And then to kick us off, Marco, I have a few questions that I'd like to share and ask you. If there's a disaster in my community, is it a given that the Red Cross will show up?
Well, that's a good way to find out about that. Many times it's a partnership, and the Red Cross will have a memorandum of understanding with rec centers, schools, local governments, or homeowners associations. I know that we have certain agreements with churches. And we already, in fact, down the street here, I drive for the emergency response vehicles. I pick up a Red Cross trailer, and we have an agreement to park it at this church because that's located just outside of the flood area of Old Town Alexandria. So we could look and you could say, oh, where are those facilities that have agreements? And many times it'll be through your alerts that your local government will say, at the high school, we're going to turn that into a shelter for 500 Red Cross cots. So you could find that. And if you have the emergency Red Cross app, emergency exclamation point, in that app, it tells you where all the shelters are open.
Okay, thank you. And just checking the chat here. And we're waiting for questions to come in. And so my second question is, for those of us who are in the office now, how should we prepare for an emergency? What should we have in our offices in case we're stuck, can't get out of the building, or have to leave the building? What should we do?
Well, there you go. Is there power in the building? If it's a high rise, and sometimes if there's no power and there's no pump, that means there's no toilets, or it means you don't recharge your phone. So if I'm in the office, sometimes there are windows, and I have the solar power pack that recharges, and then I could recharge my phones. But I still love the crank radio. That's a flashlight. That's a phone charger. And I would have water and M&Ms. And some food, granola bars, or like, I did get a lockdown one time in an office I was in by Washington, D.C. And for 10 hours, we could not leave. We were locked down even in our corridor. We couldn't go out or in another place. We could not go down the elevator to our car, where I had everything in my car. So the lockdown was because the mailroom had an envelope with white stuff in it. If you work around Washington, D.C., certain periods of time, that was important to know that you're receiving a packet with white stuff in it. And so there, guess what happened? Guess what we had at the office? The most popular person was the person in the front at the reception center. And there was a bowl full of M&M peanuts and crunchies and cough drops, and that was gone. Didn't take us long, late into the evening, that it was gone. So yeah, I would say so. When I work with the school, I work with the high school, and they actually showed me after my talk, they have a whole supply shelving, and there's a little packet of food and water for every student. So in an office, I would be thinking, anything that makes you comfortable, something that can be your friend, right? and because it may, you could maybe not work. Maybe the computers are down. So you're just there and you can't leave. I've been in DC and working where I couldn't leave. The streets were packed. The streets were not safe. So I had to stay where I am. So think of what your needs are. Is there some meds there? Is there some painkillers there? Right? Is there something just for you? I find out that I have a small nail file. I love to have my fingernails clean. You'd be surprised. We're talking about those emotions, those feelings. How do I feel if they tell me I can't? Oh, I'm going to go pick up my grandmother or my kids or something. No, you're not going anywhere. So what do you, I like to have my mustache needs its cream. I need my fingers. I need to feel like it's really not you need to take care of yourself, start emotionally, and then find out, do I need meds? Do I need waters? And I'll just work on my computer until it's time to go home. No, the system's down. So do you have a book to read? Do you have pencil and paper to draw, to write your thoughts out? Think about it yourself, and you are answering your own question, and then you can help others.
Okay, thank you. And it looks like we have 1 minute to go, and I'm going to sneak this last question in. We don't have any in the chat, so I'm going to sneak it in. So in Washington, D.C. this summer, we saw a lot of storms, a lot of lightning, thunder, so forth. And I myself commute via Metro. Many times there isn't anywhere to shelter, to run, to hide under. You are caught in the middle of a storm. What do you do?
You take a deep breath, right? You breathe, and you have exactly made the scenario that was in one of the slides that says everywhere you go, then you have a plan, you have some thoughts of what you would do where you go. And I've taken the training for under in the metro. If the metro stops underneath, I know how to open the windows. I've been trained to work with helping the people. If we can't get out, we have to stay under in the train and what to do. So you've just described, that's your assignment. That is part of, remember, you are making a plan on what I need to know. I'm making a plan on how can I be informed? And that's saying, oh, what do I have with me on me? And in my pack, do I have one of those ponchos that's the size of your hand, and they open up a poncho, and it covers you and it covers your backpack or your purse. So thinking in terms of, you're describing what do I need called my everyday carry? What do I have with me? Where am I going? Oh, today, what's going to happen? Remember I said there's that chart. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 98, 99, 98, 99 all week. Or is it rain, floods, high winds all week, 3 days? So outfit yourself, pay attention. What do I need before I go forth? If I have to stay or if they say I have to go.
I think that's a perfect ending. What do I need? What do I need? Marco, we want to be respectful of your time. Thank you very much for joining us again this afternoon and teaching us how to become better Red Cross ready before, during, and after a disaster. Thank you very much. We hope you will join us in the next few months. And again, we appreciate our audience joining us. And I'd like to give you back your day.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.